Hey, beautiful souls, welcome to an episode of Spiritual Juice Podcast for awakening souls needing a dose of clarity, courage, and cosmic inspiration on the journey of becoming the best version of yourselves. Please allow me to introduce your host, Yvette Irvin, who will pour you a refreshing blend of soulful insights to help you align. So grab your cups and let's get into this juice.
Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Spiritual Juice Podcast. And today we are talking about rejection. Rejection can often be for your protection. Have you ever been through this where something that you really wanted dearly and you felt really strongly like, why can't I have it? You might have wanted that house that somebody else got. You might have wanted that relationship, but no, couldn't work out for you. Or what about that job that you were overlooked for? It could be anything, but you just know that you really wanted it and you didn't understand why it did not happen. Well, on this journey, we start to learn things about ourselves. On a deeper level. Like oftentimes, things not happening when you want them to happen is for your divine protection. Now, at the time when you want something and you cannot have it, it doesn't feel like it, right? It does not feel like it because I believe our egos are really wanting us to believe that we need to take it personally. But if life is happening for you, then why would you take it personally? Because when you take things personally like that, it kind of puts you into that victim mindset. Let's have a different perspective. Let's have a bigger approach. Like maybe I wanted that. Maybe I wanted this relationship, say, to work out, but it didn't work out. I really believe that this person was the person for me. But right now, you can't really see all angles because you're looking from a limited view. But there are certain things, certain energies, certain beings in the universe that are assigned to make sure that you get to your destination, that you get to be who you are supposed to be and create an abundant, purposeful life. You get to be in this place where you are experiencing that best that life has to offer. And because we are human, we can't often see what's good for us because we only have a limited view. But there are spirits. I call it spirit team. You have a whole team, a whole host of people, more than you can imagine. There's not just one or two. There's many. There's like layers. And all I can say is that you want it. But because of these teams, let's say they're your angels, they are your family members on the other side, your loved ones, but they are guides, they're ancestors. And their job is to protect you. And because they can see all angles, there's no such thing as time. Okay, it's infinite. So they know what's going on in the spirit world. Let me give you an example. I had a client that I met a couple years ago. I just happened to be out. It was summertime, and it was an outdoor event where they had lots of people with booths that were from the spiritual community. I happened to have a booth there, and I was doing all kinds of stuff. But in this case, this particular female, she wanted a Reiki session with me. Now, when I feel like when I meet someone and they allow me to serve them in this way, it's not a random thing. It never is. Okay, it's a spiritual thing. And she didn't know me from can of paint. She comes up to me, she says, I want this. Perfect. Have a seat. And then I proceed to go through the motions. And oftentimes I can pick up messages, not only just invoke that energy, that life force energy, but the body is always trying to speak to us. I'm able to receive certain messages. And so in this case, she seemed, just by looking at her, she seemed pretty normal. But as I got busy with her in the session, I could feel her energy, and something was very heavy because my hands are guided where they need to go. It's nothing to do with where I want them to go. They just go where they need to go. This is one of the powers of Reiki. And so one of my hands really hovered and stayed around her heart space. Even if I wanted to move away, it's like I couldn't. I could feel there was a heaviness. When you're meeting strangers for the first time, they don't usually like tell you a lot, and you don't really need to know anything. So she only said to me that she was visiting her sister because we were in like sort of like the countryside in a way. I assumed that she was just getting away for a couple of days out of the everyday like hustle of life. I'm doing Reiki on her, and I started to feel, and it was so like her heart was so tender. And I wanted to even talk more about it, but I just kept on doing what I was doing. And I kept on and kept on. But I could feel that emotionally something had happened. As I'm moving forward with the session and doing what I do, we finished. I could feel that I had lifted quite a bit of energy, especially that surface energy in different parts of her body, so that she can move forward in a more like light, sort of positive, more high vibrational way. And she wanted my contact, so I gave her my contact. I went on about my business, and she called me a few days later and said she wanted another session. So keep in mind that when I was out there are like lots of people out there. Okay, originally I met her at this event. She wanted to just meet with me one-on-one, which is always better because you have all of my attention and my focus is on you, and I can really tune in. So she came to me, actually. She drove to me maybe about 40 minutes. We get busy. I'm giving her another session. And this time I'm really focused. I started to pick up messages about, I saw her painting. I had no idea that she was a painter. And I could see her painting these beautiful flowers. And she was using beautiful colors, really bright colors, orange and yellows and beautiful colors. But now I had to ask her, like, but you're not using bright colors anymore. You're using different colors. You're using colors like navy blue, and I saw grays and white, maybe a little red. She wasn't using the same colors when she painted. And I asked her why. And she explained to me that this is what she does for a living. But she started to tell me about this heartbreak. And so, as you know, when they use their creative expression to different mediums, whether it's music or writing or some form of art, painting in this case, it's like you're getting a piece of them. It's their energy that is creating the beauty, the emotion. This is what we pay for. She had been involved in a serious relationship with a man for some time, and they were planning to get married. She was clearly excited, and she was hoping to have a child because, from what I understand, she was, that clock was ticking, and she wanted to have a baby like really soon. And so the guy, evidently, he called it off. He broke it off with her, and she was devastated. So this is the root of her sadness, this breakup that kind of explained things to me. So as I continued on with our session, it was really heavy, and went in there and I did as much as I could. I got some messages because oftentimes when we can't see, like she's going through this breakup and all you can do is blame or victim mode, you don't understand why. You blame yourself, you blame them, you blame life, you're angry, you're hurt. You are not operating as your more evolved self, but in the lesser sort of space, the shadow, not seeing what's really going on. What I heard from her energy was that it's like her family, her line, her bloodline, they were communicating because they always see, they see everything. To be honest with you, there are certain people and families that they mean certain things to the bloodline. That's to say that not all of us, even though we might belong to the same karmic family, but we're not all the same and we're not all at the same level of significance. Now, it doesn't mean that people are not important. It just means that we have certain roles to play. We're here for a certain reason, or spiritually, we might be ranked a bit differently than the next person, but we all have roles to play. And it has nothing to do with age or, when you were born or anything like that. It's just all about your energy and who you really are in terms of like from the perspective of the spirit world. And so what I heard was that her family, her line, her descendants they were not going for this. In essence, they were saying, no, I'm not going to let you do this. I object to this. And, it happens pretty much the same way it does on the physical, where family members, they express their feelings. But the only difference is that in the physical world, we can hear them, we can see them, we believe it. We believe it's very clear. But from the spirit, it's like they often like use people or a situation or a dream or what have you to communicate with you. And so in this case, they were communicating with me that they were saying in a very loving, benevolent way, like, no, my love, like, no, we can't let you do this. We object to this. And what they were communicating was that this might look like this, but when you get further down the line, it's not that at all. In other words, they were like, we see all angles, we see all sides, we even see this person's bloodline. And what they seemed to be communicating was that the bloodline, they did not want her entangled into this bloodline because it's their job to protect you. It's their job to have the lineage move forward. But as you know, all bloodlines are not created equal. You might have a bloodline where they have lots and lots of karma, and not always like the good part, the good one. Like there's good and bad. Maybe they were saying that, no, not maybe, they were saying, let's be honest, that this is not what you want. We've seen this bloodline. We know what this really is, and we cannot have you marrying into that bloodline. So in other words, we cannot protect you. It does not balance off in terms spiritually, like they're not a positive move for us. And you are very important to us. You're going down a dark road in which you may never come back. And we cannot help you because this bloodline, they operate like this. We love you too much. You're too important to us to allow this. So we are blocking this. That means that when the spirit world speaks, they have all the power. We have no control over what really goes on. We may think we do, but the spirit world is all there is. Okay, we are just merely like, to put it in a simple way, we're just like playing out a role. We're here for certain reasons, and then we kind of go back with them and decide if we want the next sort of mission or lifetime. Like I signed up for this lifetime and I'm going to do this and that kind of thing. So in other words, it's like, they're like, no. And even though this woman, she was very heartbroken, very hurt, and they see that, and they're, her people are obviously very saddened that to see her like that. And I'm communicating this message. Like I said, that nothing happens by chance. She came to me, she didn't know me. She didn't know, but there were other people there, but she didn't use them. So I was a person that they were using to communicate. And so I explained this to her. And at the time that I don't think that it really made a difference because we don't often see it at the time because we are just so full of emotion, so full of our hearts are just broken. And sometimes it takes a while for us to be able to see. It's like going down that road and looking back, because while you're in it, you can't see it all. It's like quicksand. But over time, you turn around and you look at that situation, you have clarity. It's like 20/20 vision. They say hindsight is 20/20. You can see it clearly, especially the more you are aligned with yourself, the more you heal, the more high vibrational you are. You start to put everything into perspective. And then you start to understand that, wow, I'm so glad that I did not marry that person. I understand why now. Because I would not have been happy. It would have been one of the worst decisions of my life because of the sheer mercy of my team, my spirit team. They protected me from that because they knew that if I had married that person, not only would I had been miserable, but it would have blocked this other thing that was much better for me. And so you're looking back and you say, wow, I'm so happy now. And if I had done that, I wouldn't be where I am now. And I'm really in a good place right now. And I know that a lot of you have experienced that. I know I have in like so many ways, especially on the journey. It's like the more I elevate, the more I understand. So we're able to forgive. We're able to see that there's no mistake. There's no poor me or why me or how come or whatever. It's like, no, this is my story that I'm writing and this is perfect. It seems like it's a disadvantage, but no, this is my advantage, but I couldn't see it. Oftentimes your team, your protection, the spirit comes in there, not all the time unless you ask, but at times in your life where things could really get really bad, like something is happening and it would change the course of your life. And what I want to say is that they have plans for you. So they have to make sure that you meet that schedule. So if this happened, you would not be able to meet that schedule, and they can't have that. So what I want to say is back to this whole like rejection. It's not rejection, it's protection. And the more we realize that, the less pain and fear that we feel. The more you understand. Like I was talking to a client today, and she was talking about how she was on a flight and they were having some problems with the airplane. Everyone was very nervous because, she was thinking, wow, this thing, I may not make it. This isn't looking good. And so, of course, she made it safely and everything. We had a talk after, and I said, well, first of all, understand who you are. Don't be taken away by what seems like what could happen. That, like in this case in point, thinking the plane might go down and that's the end for you. If you are truly here for your purpose, you're going nowhere until you fulfill that purpose. You have a contract. So why are you afraid of something happening? Again, knowing who you are has a large part to do with it, because when you're on that road and you know that, let's say, for example, let's use the example of people that are chosen and their bloodline to do certain things for the lineage. Or there are certain people on this earth right now who are chosen to be born, to be on their divine journey of awakening, they're healing, they're vibrating higher, they're breaking generational curses, and they are helping others on their awakening journeys as well. So do you think that you're going to just like up and die? Because the universe needs you. It's not like who and what you are. You can't be taken lightly, because this is something that has been in the plans for lifetimes. So your lineage, your bloodline, they have chosen you. And when they choose you, They don't just say, let's pick, okay, let's go ahead and choose this person. No, they are very intentional because they know that this person is their best warrior, is capable because they need you to succeed in this purpose. They depend on you. They're saying that you've got what it takes. We know. Now, this one is a real one right here. This one is up for it. We know. And that's the agreement that you make before you even incarnate in this lifetime. Okay, so maybe you go through different difficult things. And difficult things means that you were born into largely a family that, well, let's just say it's not pretty. It's not easy. It's difficult. I can speak from experience. You're born into a very difficult situation, and every situation is unique. But let's just say you're born into a very toxic family. Maybe there's a history of all kind of abuse, or maybe there's a narcissistic parent and siblings, and you are the scapegoat, and maybe you never felt like you belonged, and maybe life was like this, and it was hard, and it put a lot of pressure on you. And you don't understand, why can't I fit in? Why? Like we always want to, especially in the matrix, we always want to fit in. We don't want to be isolated. We want to belong. And this is part of human nature, is to belong. And so it takes us a long time to recognize that, no, I'm not like these people, because you don't know who you really are. But maybe some of those people in your family, they know that there's something different about you, something amazing about you. And maybe you can't see it yet. You cannot see it, but they know that there's something about you, and it triggers the hell out of them. It triggers them. Oh, she's Miss Perfect. Oh, she's always wants to do the right thing, or she's always calling someone out. It's like it's bothering them because you won't belong to this sort of like narrative, and it bothers them. And so they try to make you feel small, like you're the problem, because energetically you don't align with their nonsense. I love to use this narcissistic example because there's a lot of that is coming out now, where people start to understand that what really happened, and that this person, they were merely projecting, let's say a parent or a sibling or a grandmother or whomever, they were projecting all of this negative stuff onto you, but that wasn't you. That was their stuff. So it was putting all this pressure on you, just questioning yourself and feeling small and wanting to be loved, and just feelings of abandonment and all kinds of situations. And you kind of grew up in this dysfunction. And so I like to call it like life is putting that pressure on you, that pressure. You go through this and you keep moving and you go through that. I mean, you know what happens when life puts that pressure on you? It's like pressure makes diamonds. I said it. Pressure creates diamonds. And a lot of us come from that kind of background where life was really wacky. It was not cool. It was not like today. Somebody would have gone to jail. Okay. If they knew what was going on in that house or that parent, their children would have been taken from them, because what that parent did for all this time was putting that child in danger, or just really neglecting, failing to nurture, failing to appreciate, failing to be a real parent to them, okay, for whatever reason. But we lived through it, right? And we're better for it, because this whole narrative about rejection and protection. Now, during that age when we were coming up in these toxic environments, like when I say toxic, that's putting it lightly, okay? It's all kinds of things going on that you can't imagine that you have to live through, but you keep moving forward and you keep your heart open. And so now you understand that you're part of this group of what they call the first or second wave of chosen ones. It was all part of the plan. Like imagine your whole, like, like your ancestors and your spirit team and love. They're watching the whole while. And maybe a couple times during that period when you were coming up and you were part of this toxic family, things could get really heavy. And some of those times, the spirit steps in there and they're saying, whoa, okay, things kind of move around to give you a little bit of respite. But understand that they are watching the whole thing when they're letting it go down, because it's what's supposed to go down. You signed up for this. As long as, no one's going to die, because you got somewhere to be. You're on this road. As we awaken, begin to heal and understand what really happened, not what we thought happened. Now you understand who you are and what you mean to your lineage. And it's a lot easier when you understand and you look back down the road and you have this hindsight, that this is why. It kind of lightens the load. You're carrying around all these burdens before, and maybe some people have separated from these people that they once knew that didn't serve them. And you understand that they were just playing a role, and you don't take it personally, right? And some people take a little bit longer to accept and to forgive, and hopefully you will get there. And the sooner you get there, the better. But understanding that you feel honored and you always knew that you were not like this karmic family, or this relationship really didn't make sense and the signs were hidden in plain sight, but you couldn't see them, so that you can get where you're going. You can become who you're becoming. So now back to the rejection for your protection. So all this rejection from the relationship that was completely toxic, and maybe you stayed there way longer than you needed, 20, 30 years sometimes, I'm hearing from people. The narcissist is gunning for the one or the ones that are easiest to control. And that relationship, that man or woman, is gunning for that partner that is easy to manipulate, because it's difficult to manipulate someone. They were born for this role of being that person that is the scapegoat, that they can see what's going on and they're not buying it, even though you really want to, because by you rejecting and calling it out, it's isolating you. It's keeping you outside the family dynamic, and you're not supported, you're not loved. And you know what happens when people cannot manipulate you, they can't control you, then they work to turn others against you. Okay. And oftentimes it really works, and can be really damaging. But understanding that if you had a choice to be them or you right now, that you know who you are and you understand these events that happen in your life to make you, who would you choose? You would probably choose to be you, right? You would say, I know all that happened. It was terrible and it was painful during the time. And I'm so glad that I got out of that and I was able to move on, because my life is turning out to be amazing and it's making sense now. I always felt that deep inside. What they were saying to me wasn't real, but you had no proof, but now you do. And those people, well, they get to be their same toxic selves. They're not happy as always. And the cat's out of the bag. Maybe they see you moving on and doing great things and being happy. Maybe they don't. But I think somehow they know, like, you were the one that got away. And it doesn't matter if they're spiritual or not, but energetically, somehow they know that you have, in a sense, escaped. You got away. Okay. They might have each other, but it's like they hate to see you escape, because it makes them feel bad about themselves, because they know the truth, but they were actually not the strong ones. Because if they were, they would have like cut out that circus like a long time ago. So they hate to see you move on and be great, because there's like this reward, or many rewards, of healing, of awakening, and understanding your life from the big picture, but also who you're becoming, you feel good. You feel like, wow, I want to live that over again, but I'm so glad that I made it through, and I understand that I knew it was all for a reason, but a better reason, so my life would not be in vain. Because the worst thing in the world is to like live and die and not really awaken, not really understand what your life was really all about. So this whole rejection thing and protection thing, they're like one and the same. Protection, it's like I can say in my own case, the more I evolve on my journey, the more I am aware, like this protection like lives with me. It's part of who I am. I have a whole team who have always been there, And now I know this team. And sometimes we can even call them out by name, that they are there, that you can call on them for anything, because it's like their pleasure that you're building this relationship and that you are aware. And doesn't that make you feel good about yourself? Kind of, you feel like, wow, I'm somebody. You don't want to mess with me. I don't have to do anything. My team is fierce because it's their job. They're there. I can call on them. I'm never alone. And they're always communicating with me. And I can communicate with them whenever I want, because they are assigned to you to protect you. I can say many times, once I started to understand, like I have this team and I'm meditating and I'm being still, I am communicating with them like, okay, like, let me know if this is for my highest good, and I'm waiting for your answer. And often they're speaking, and sometimes, we don't recognize, because we think they're like some kind of like, I don't know what we think, but I know that I used to feel like, before I understood, that they have personalities and, they have sense of humor, this energy, this protectors, this spirit team. And you can even feel like, if it's a masculine energy or whether it's a feminine energy, and everything in between. And I noticed that, they are just like us. They are giving you these messages, and it's very simple. They don't go on and have a whole monologue with you. Just a few words, and you know exactly what they're trying to communicate. Let's say, for example, I remember I was scheduled to do this ayahuasca retreat a few years ago. Where I was living in Central America, a lot of the local people were like, okay, but just don't work with anybody. Like, let us know. I'm going to help you find the right person. Because they were trying to protect me, because a lot of people say and do a lot of things, and they're not like really working in integrity. And so, yeah, okay, because I just felt really called to it. I really did. And so eventually I found someone. There was a referral from one of my gatekeepers. And so I was ready. I had tapped in, I communicated with my team to make sure that this experience at this time with these shamans were for my highest good. And I got the okay. Right? Got the green light, and I started fasting, just preparing for the ceremony. I'm about to leave the house. I got my little bag and everything, and something told me to check the feed, because we're part of this chat group. And suddenly, what I saw, I had a hard time believing. That in the chat, they were saying that this ceremony had been canceled. And I lost it. I could not believe it. I was so ready. And immediately I have this telepathic conversation with members of my spirit team, and I blame them. I'm blaming them. And I'm talking, it sounds something like this. I said, I thought you told me that everything was cool. I thought you told me that this is it. Yeah, it's okay. How can you do that? You're supposed to have my back. And then I hear this little voice, and it said, we do have your back. And then I shut it down. I said, stop it. Stop talking to me. No, you don't. I was really like livid. And of course, after that, I didn't hear anything else from them. But I was blaming them, like, oh, I can't trust you because look what's happening now. You told me it was cool. And then what happened later would really blow your mind because I understood what was going on. So a few days later, I meet up with some people and they're telling me they're going to this, they're preparing for another different type of plant ceremony. And this particular plant medicine was like, no, it's better than that. It's way bigger than that. And this guy, and he just came back from Africa, and there's this thing called Iboga. And Iboga is the grandfather. And whoa. Do you want to come? And I'm like, yeah, I might as well. I'll check it out. Yeah, we're going to go over. We're going to do a microdose. Come on. So I decided to go. Since that other thing fell through, ayahuasca fell through, and I had already been fasting, I figure I'm kind of like ready already. And so I go over and I meet the shaman and we do a micro, and wow, something said, okay, this works. So what I learned is that my spirit team, or what they were doing, was they were saying, pump the brakes on this ayahuasca thing. Pump the brakes immediately. We got something better for you. Something far-reaching for you. And they stopped that thing for me in my tracks and rerouted so that I could be in alignment to participate in this other ceremony, Iboga, the mighty grandfather. And I felt like a dingbat, an idiot. Oh, I see what happened now. They were protecting me because if I had done that ayahuasca, I would not be in alignment to have this Iboga thing. And they wanted the best for me. It was like I felt like they were saying, no, baby, you deserve the best. No, let's do this one. Pump those brakes. And of course, I was very uncomfortable. But so I got to be part of this Iboga retreat where I had an opportunity to sit with Iboga, which is incredible. If you ever want to know about it, you should check it out big time. Okay. And it's not the kind of medicine that you can get. Like, it's not like widely available. Like, you don't meet a lot of shamans from Africa, from Gabon, Africa, by the way, that they are trained and they are prepared and the whole thing. They can facilitate a ceremony like this. Whereas ayahuasca, there are lots and lots and lots of ceremonies. So I felt really grateful, but it taught me a lesson. And I feel like I learned that lesson, and I learned to not question, even though I can't see it, but my protection has got me. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes you don't understand why this rejection is happening, but there's something better, or there's a good reason why. So tell me, have you ever been in a similar position where you really wanted something, or, you felt prepared for something and it didn't happen, like suddenly, and you had a moment where you started to question things? Now, I know you have, so go ahead and let us know in the comments, because I have come such a long way since that time that I am like trusting like never before. And maybe I had to have those experiences to get to this point, but because I know that my capacity here on earth is quite limited, and because of my protection, understanding what I cannot see, knowing that I have this relationship with my team, that they got me, they got my back, they got my front, they got all angle, and it's their job. And they take it very seriously. Like, don't let your ego think that you're like all that. I hope this resonates with you. And on this journey, it's like we keep growing, we keep evolving, we keep getting to the next level, we continue on, and we've got lots and lots of lessons to learn. And it's never ending. So the evolution it gets a little easier, because once you get the foundation together, again, the foundation to me is understanding that you're never alone, and you're protected, And there's a whole lot that comes with that, but also understanding the past and how you are casting off this old self of who you used to be. You're jumping timelines. You're letting go of that lesser self, and you are becoming, there's different levels to this, more and more of your authentic self. And this spirit, you're having this human experience, and you start to understand not only who you are, but what your purpose here is on earth. So you don't have to worry about stuff. You don't have to be afraid, because you are not alone, because you have a whole team of people that have a stake in this. And you are the representative here in the physical, and their job, their protection, works from the spirit, and they control everything. And so if you have that connection, that protection, then there's no such thing as rejection. So that's all I got for you. I'm going to let you go. I took a little bit longer than I expected to, but I'm happy because I feel like it needed to be said. So if you feel like this resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe so that these messages get out there to the people that really need them. Please leave me a comment. I read all the comments. I love hearing from you. And I'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to Spiritual Juice. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share this good energy. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review.